In 2023, South Korea unleashed another spine-chilling thriller, plunging viewers into a nerve-wracking ride that felt eerily like a real-life horror game. Su-hyun, a young woman living alone, had just wrapped up a long day and was about to wind down for the night. Suddenly, she heard a strange clicking sound. Someone was trying to unlock her door. Eyes wide with shock, she bolted into the living room, her heart pounding, teeth clenched, staring in frozen fear at the entrance. What was even more unsettling, there was no error beep from the keypad. And then, in just 5 breathless seconds, the door slowly began to open. To Su-hyun's horror, a man's head peeked through the doorway.
누구세요?
Without missing a beat, he claimed Su-hyun's boyfriend had sent him, told her to open the door, and said he'd paid a hefty price for this visit. But Su-hyun was dumbfounded. She'd been single for years. What boyfriend? When she said she was calling the police, the man's face twisted in rage. Thinking he was being tricked, he grabbed the door handle and tried to force his way in. Terrified, Su-hyun sprinted back to her room, grabbed her phone, and dialed the police right in front of him. Seeing she was actually making the call, the man cursed furiously before storming off, reluctantly giving up. But just 5 minutes later, barely enough time for Su-hyun to catch her breath, the keypad beeped again. The lock clicked. The door opened again. This time, another man stepped in, and just like before, he claimed Su-hyun's boyfriend had sent him. He talked for a bit, then, noticing Su-hyun wasn't responding, politely, almost too politely, gestured toward the lock, hinting she should let him in for something unspeakable. Thankfully, the police arrived just in time, tackled the man, and Su-hyun narrowly escaped a nightmare. What she never expected was that all of this had started because of one negative review she left just a few days earlier. Right after moving into her new apartment, Su-hyun discovered the washer didn't work. Trying to save money, she turned to a second-hand marketplace, hoping to find something affordable and functional. One seller's profile caught her eye. The seller claimed they were moving overseas and needed to offload everything quickly at low prices. Among the seller's listings was a sleek, high-end washing machine at a bargain price, exactly what Su-hyun had been looking for. Maybe it was the flood of other luxury goods on the seller's page that lowered her guard. Su-hyun didn't stop to think and placed the order right away. The day after the washing machine was delivered, Su-hyun called in a technician to have it installed. But during the inspection, the technician discovered something troubling. The machine was already broken. Refusing to believe it, Su-hyun stepped up and pressed a few buttons, even gave it a few smacks, but the machine remained completely unresponsive. Furious, she cursed under her breath and immediately jumped on her computer, ready to contact the seller for a refund. But to her shock, the seller's entire account ID, listings, everything had vanished into thin air. It was like they'd never existed. With no other option, Su-hyun went to the police to file a report. She just lost 300,000 won for nothing. Anyone would be angry, but what truly crushed her spirit was the police response. They told her it could take 3 to 4 months to process such a minor case. Disheartened, Su-hyun walked out of the station, defeated. The next day, she bit the bullet and visited an appliance store, dropping 183 million won on a 12-month installment plan for a brand new washing machine. Since her apartment was still under renovation, she had to take her laundry to a dry cleaner at night. On the way back, she'd lug around a heavy bag of clothes, and if it tore by accident, she'd have to wash everything all over again. Whenever she had a quiet moment, Su-hyun would find herself thinking about that scammer. She swore she'd track them down no matter what it took. This time, she got smart. She logged into other second-hand platforms and started searching for listings that looked suspiciously high-end but were being sold at suspiciously low prices. Her persistence paid off. Eventually, Su-hyun stumbled across a seller with no profile picture, offering luxury goods at dirt cheap prices. The bio? Almost identical, claiming everything had to go because of an overseas move. It had to be the same scammer who conned her out of 300,000 won. Seeing other users commenting and inquiring about prices, Su-hyun started leaving replies under each post, warning them that the seller was a fraud. But that wasn't enough. She went on a full rant in the comments section, letting her anger fly. That night, a mysterious message landed in her inbox. Someone was warning her to back off and mind her own business. Su-hyun didn't flinch. She fired back every insult she could think of. Scam or no scam, venting like that felt damn good. What she didn't realize was, this scammer wasn't just some amateur. He had multiple phones, operated under fake identities, and his tech skills? Practically hacker level. Within minutes, the scammer had hacked into Su-hyun's account and using her identity, they began posting unspeakable things. And the worst part? Su-hyun had no idea. The next day at work, Su-hyun's phone started blowing up with dozens of calls, everyone asking her about the free washing machine she was supposedly giving away. Thinking back to the events of the previous night, she quickly logged into the app and sure enough, her newly registered account had been hacked. Her hacked profile now claimed she was offering to share a washing machine because she was moving abroad, and it even included her phone number. To stop the flood of non-stop calls, she had no choice but to update her profile and announce that the sharing offer was over. After handling everything, Su-hyun dragged herself home and collapsed on the floor in exhaustion. But moments later, there was a knock at the door. This time, it wasn't just one person, it was several food delivery guys. The address was correct. Someone had ordered 300 pieces of fried chicken, sweet and sour pork, and several pizzas. It was obvious, the scammer was now messing with her publicly and relentlessly. The next day, before heading to the police, Su-hyun taped a note to her door explaining that any strange food orders were the result of a child's prank. Then she returned to the station and met with the same officer from last time, recounting everything that had happened in full detail. One male officer advised her to change her phone number immediately. After giving her some basic instructions, Officer Cheol-ho followed up on the address where the washing machine had originally been shipped. There, he learned from a landlady that a student was living in the unit. When Cheol-ho asked to take a look inside, the landlady refused. After all, it was private property and the tenant hadn't given permission. She left, visibly annoyed. Meanwhile, back at her apartment, Su-hyun had just changed her phone number only to find the note she'd taped to her front door had mysteriously disappeared. That's when it hit her. The scammer might actually know where she lived. Panicked, she returned to the police. The officers contacted the building management, but the only footage they could pull was from the parking garage. Due to previous privacy complaints, no security cameras had been installed in other areas of the complex. All they could do was ask Su-hyun to be patient and give them more time to investigate. The next day, while heading out for work, Su-hyun noticed someone installing a new surveillance camera in the hallway. The man claimed he was sent by building management to monitor areas not covered by existing cameras. Before leaving, he handed Su-hyun a business card. For the first time in a while, things felt safer, but the relief didn't last. That very night, Su-hyun lived through the most terrifying moment of her life. Her digital door lock beeped again. It was being unlocked. The mysterious figure was back. The man threatened her if she didn't transfer 5 million won within 5 minutes. What happened next would be far worse. After driving off the first intruder, the countdown began. Su-hyun paced the room, panic rising with every second. Just as the timer was about to run out and she was on the verge of confirming the money transfer, her alarm clock went off. Too late, the second man arrived. As the situation spiraled out of control, the police, having received the emergency call, burst onto the scene just in time. The man in custody confessed without hesitation. Someone pretending to be Su-hyun's boyfriend had reached out to him, claiming she was into sharing and had even sent him a pornographic video, all in an attempt to awaken the monster inside him. That was the moment the police finally realized this case was far more serious than they thought. Later that day, Cheol-ho returned with Su-hyun and used his authority as a police officer to pressure the landlady into unlocking the apartment. The place was already empty, completely stripped bare. Not a single piece of furniture remained, except for one thing, a refrigerator. But when Cheol-ho opened it, what they saw made their blood run cold. Inside was a corpse frozen solid, clearly dead for quite some time. The police speculated that the mysterious scammer had likely murdered the original tenant, assumed their identity, and used the apartment as a base to continue running scams under a false name. This meant tracking the culprit down would be far from easy. That same afternoon, another girl showed up at the police station to file a report. Her story mirrored Su-hyun's almost exactly. She too had purchased a defective second-hand item. The seller's ID had mysteriously vanished. Then things escalated. She was even hunted down and nearly killed. If she hadn't smashed a window and escaped, she might not have lived to see the next day. After a long, exhausting day, just as Su-hyun was about to close her front door, a foot suddenly blocked it from shutting. Su-hyun turned around into her shock. It was her twisted boss. He claimed he wanted to have a deep conversation about human nature. Su-hyun wasn't having it. As they struggled over the door, Su-hyun slammed it shut right on his hand. Clutching his injured left hand and cursing in pain, the boss finally backed off and stormed away. Back inside, just as she was catching her breath, Su-hyun noticed something that chilled her to the bone. The bathroom mirror and faucet were covered in water droplets. A towel lay crumpled on the shower floor, still damp. She stumbled backward in fear. Then she spotted something else, leftover food on the living room table. like someone had just eaten there, and when she returned to her bedroom her computer had turned on by itself. On the screen, in bold white letters, were the words, "I'll be back." Her heart nearly stopped. Terrified, Su-hyun called the police immediately. Officers showed up, did a brief sweep of the apartment, and left without finding anything. Later that night, half asleep and rattled, Su-hyun thought she heard strange noises coming from beneath the floor. Grabbing her phone like a flashlight, she moved to investigate only for a hand to suddenly shoot out from under her bed. She screamed only to wake up. It had all been a nightmare. The next day, Su-hyun handed in her resignation to her boss. On her way home, her phone rang. It was the mysterious man again. This time, he demanded 10 million won in cash. He told her to be home by 10 p.m. sharp, turn off her phone, and warned her not to call the police. Terrified, Su-hyun obeyed. Earlier that day, the police had tried repeatedly to contact her. When they got no response, Cheol-ho rushed to her neighborhood, keeping an eye on everything while attempting to reach her. Suddenly, a man in a motorcycle helmet smashed through a window and struck Cheol-ho hard, knocking him out cold. He was ready to finish him off, but with too many people and cars nearby, he decided not to risk it. The man then calmly made his way to Su-hyun's apartment only to be spotted by her boss. The sleazy superior, someone aware of recent events, immediately realized this man must be the culprit. But knowing meant nothing. In the end, the boss didn't survive. That evening, exactly at 10 p.m., Su-hyun walked into her apartment and collapsed onto the couch in exhaustion. Then she noticed something strange. Several surveillance cameras were now installed on the ceiling. When had those been put there? Out on the balcony, she spotted a horrifying sight: her boss's lifeless body. And then it hit her. The man who'd claimed to be installing hallway cameras on behalf of building management a few days ago, that had to be the suspect. Obviously, it was already too late to call the police. Meanwhile, out on the street, Cheol-ho's colleagues still couldn't get in touch with him, so he rushed over to check things out. He arrived just in time to see the suspect forcefully dragging Su-hyun into a car, then speeding off. A wild chase ensued. The officer behind the wheel floored it, pushing the speed over 200 kilometers per hour. But just as both vehicles raced through an intersection, disaster struck. By the time a barely conscious Cheol-ho arrived on the scene, his fellow officer was critically injured and barely clinging to life. The suspect, bloodied but alive, gave Su-hyun one last look before disappearing into the night, almost as if to say, "This isn't over." In the days that followed, Su-hyun decided to move. That's when the news broke. The officer who tried to save her had died in the line of duty. Her mind was haunted by one image: the killer's face. She called Cheol-ho. They came up with a plan. If he wouldn't show himself, they'd draw him out. Using her best friend's identity, Su-hyun created a new second-hand account, agreeing only to meet sellers face-to-face. She would be the bait. After all, she'd seen the man's face. The police would follow at a distance. As soon as she spotted the target, they'd move in. It took 2 stressful days, but eventually, Su-hyun found him. She tried everything to keep him talking. Unfortunately, Cheol-ho was stuck in traffic and wouldn't arrive in time. Sensing her nervousness, the man grew suspicious. Then, suddenly, he lunged at her, pressing a chloroform-soaked tissue to her face and knocking her out cold. He looked around cautiously, inspecting the place, but when he turned to find her again, Su-hyun was gone. She'd regained consciousness and hidden herself on the balcony. Gritting her teeth, she blocked the door and called Cheol-ho, whispering her location. Enraged, the man smashed through the glass door and came at her with a knife. Just as he was about to strike, Cheol-ho burst, and it wasn't too late. Even after being stabbed, Cheol-ho gritted his teeth and forced himself back to his feet. The killer's resilience was disturbing. He took every blow from Cheol-ho and was even hit by Su-hyun's nailed gun. He then struck back, brutally overpowering both of them. In the end, Cheol-ho chose a self-sacrificial tactic to bring the killer down. But even though the killer was seriously injured, he still had strength left. He raised the knife once more. Thankfully, he was much slower now. That gave Su-hyun just enough time to strike again. Working together, the two of them finally ended the nightmare, delivering the final blow that sent the killer straight to hell, with no chance of coming back.